And we are live. Welcome in. I'm going to let a couple people filter in here as we get started. Welcome in to the Sactown Sports Kings recap. My name is Chris Watkins. I will be your host for tonight's festivities. Feeling good. I've gotten some good games here for the Kings recap. I'm excited to keep this streak going of great games. Tonight was a really, really fun one. Man, oh man, did it look like it was going to go south for a second there. But the Kings ended up pulling it out 113-109 over the Memphis Grizzlies. Big performances tonight. Looked bad. Some things, some things definitely need to be tightened up in the next couple games here as they play Atlanta and Boston to close out this road trip. Those are two very, very tough opponents. Kings got to definitely clean up those turnovers that plagued them today. But at least they got the win. I heard Luke Laux on the radio pregame show with G-Man before today's game talking about, excuse me, talking about how they needed to step up on the defensive end and how it's good to learn lessons. It's a lot better to learn lessons in wins than to learn lessons in losses. So, it's good that the Kings, even though it probably didn't go how they would have expected it or wanted it to go based off how they were playing in that third quarter, they ended up getting the win and, didn't have to leave with a sour taste in their mouth. But it feels like there's enough people in here, so we're going to get this thing cooking. How about that? Oh, this is always my favorite part. Ready? So I just come in here with this regular old overlay. But then on special occasions, we get to do that. We get to throw the Kings win on there. Let's kick this thing off. The Sacramento Kings hold off on this one. They beat the Memphis Grizzlies 113-109. Big night from De'Aaron Fox, 32 points on 11 of 21 shooting. And emphasis on shooting because that guy was on fire tonight. It's good to see that's not just a little blip, that it's not, De'Aaron isn't just in a hot streak right now. He was hitting some incredibly, incredibly tough shots today. His three was absolutely falling. It's great to see that happen on the road as well. That's another good sign that his shooting is legitimate. It's traveling. And that's the kind of stuff where you can keep building on that confidence as I think that's been honestly the biggest key for De'Aaron this year with his shooting is his confidence. I mean, he's always his shot doesn't look too much different than it has in the past. I really do believe that he just firmly believes in his jump shot and believes in the work that he's put in, and it's really starting to show as he was 5 of 8 from 3 tonight. He wasn't the only one knocking him down, though. Harrison Barnes was 4 of 8 from 3. I thought it was a pretty up and down shooting night from Harrison, but he hit them when they absolutely needed them. Good to see Harrison string some games together, some good games together, as we know Harrison struggled to start off this season. So it's really good to see Harrison stacking up these good games. 7 of 13 from the field, as I mentioned, 4 of 8 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. He hit 4 incredibly clutch free throws. We saw that this game ended up coming down to free throws. Domas missed one of his. We thought that might have came back to bite him. John Morant comes right back down, gets an and one. I'm going to take a breath here to talk about John Morant. Boy, oh boy, is he exciting to watch. Watching him and De'Aaron go back and forth was incredibly fun tonight. They mentioned on the broadcast that these are two of the best finishers at the rim in the league, and they were absolutely on display tonight. Ja had some crazy finishes. De'Aaron, not so much at the rim tonight for De'Aaron. Definitely more of a display of his just general shot creation ability. But really good game from De'Aaron. But John Morant, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't know. I'm not the type of dude to say, referees, have, the Kings lose this game because of referees or, whatever, all that stuff. But boy, oh boy, Ja gets one heck of a whistle. I mean, if especially in that first half, it felt like if Sabonis or Keegan even touched him, he was going to the line. It's it's very clear to me that De'Aaron Fox does not get that level of whistle. Good on Ja for earning the referee's respect this early in his career, but man, it was really tough to watch sometimes. Just Ja go full speed at the rim with really no regard for his or anybody else's safety, and still manage to get some free throws off of it. Like I said, good for him. He's figured that out and he's earned that respect from referees. But on being on the other side of it, it was very, very tough to watch. I thought, from what I thought was the Kings really playing good defense at the rim, which is not something that they've typically done throughout this season. And I actually do think they played pretty well at the rim and got some pretty unlucky whistles, especially down the stretch there. I mean, Ja was getting so many calls in his favor. Good on the Kings to not let that hamper them and still, like I said, still pull out the victory and win games while still being able to have some real teaching lessons in this game. So some real big notables to me were the turnovers. Obviously, it was a pretty sloppy game in that third quarter. A lot of turnovers. I think at one point, let me see what they ended up with. There was a point where there was 20 total steals in the game, and they ended up with 23 steals in this game. That is an incredible amount of steals for both teams. The Kings had 11, and Memphis ended up with 12 steals. The ball was flying all over the place today. And I think that is actually somewhere the Kings don't play very good on-ball defense, but I do think, especially watching how they played today, I think if they can be disruptive in the passing lanes, that could be a possible way for this team to really improve on the defensive end. You're not going to all of a sudden wake up and be a better on-ball defender with the current structure of the roster, and especially with Rashawn Holmes not in the lineup. They really don't have much of any rim protection at the moment. That doesn't seem like something that's going to get better all of a sudden. So if they can be very disruptive in the passing lanes and really just create chaos defensively, I could see that being a route to this team, being, again, not a top tier defense, but, again, right now they're 27th in defensive rating. If they can just pull that down and, get more towards 15th, the closer that they can get to average defensively is going to be huge for this team. Let's see here. Ooh, this is something very interesting. I'm going to go to the comments early today. Let's see here. Do we stand pat or do we make a move trade wise and stretch shoot who can test at the rim would be nice? Yes. Absolutely. I think that's absolutely what we need is somebody who can, that is, I think a lot of people are looking for somebody who can protect the rim while also being able to knock down three balls. The Kings do lack kind of that stretch four, the defensive stretch four. I think a big thing today, that's a perfect transition into Keegan Murray's play. It's been tough, man. It's been a really, really tough stretch for the Kings rookie here. He's strung together quite a few bad games in a row. But the thing that I like to see is his confidence doesn't seem to have wavered at all. He's still putting up jump shots. And even though they're not falling, he's still putting them up. And that's definitely something that we heard about Keegan coming in, was that he's not easily phased. He's straight faced. Even, there was one play where he was driving he had just missed probably 2 or 3 threes in a row. And then he decided to put it on the floor, drive to the rim, and his shot got sent to like the third row. And you look at his face after that happened, and it's stone face. And I don't think in a sense of like maybe he did feel defeated in that moment. I honestly can't speak to that, but unflapped, didn't seem like, he was going to shy away from shooting at all. And obviously he's still not in that closing lineup. So he didn't get another chance to keep shooting. But Keegan, I believe, was 1 of 9 from the field. Let me check the box score real quick. Keegan was 1 of 8 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3, 23 minutes, definitely not. It's just a different guy than what we've seen from the start of the season. But let's not get focused on the negative, because right here, this is a comment. Let's keep it this kind of vibe. We are winning, and that's all that matters. That is so true. Let's not forget that this is 7 straight wins. I can't, I don't know if it's came out yet. Someone is always quick on Twitter to point out when the last time the Kings have gone on a streak like this. The last time they had been on a 6-game winning streak was the 04-05 season. I'd imagine that the last time they were on a 7-game win streak was probably we're inching closer and closer to touching some of those glory day records. And this team has won 7 straight wins. They've, again, you can argue that it should be 9 straight wins or whatever it is if you include the Golden State. Oh my gosh, what another beautiful transition here as yeah, I mean, we saw what happened in that Golden State game. Kevin Huerter tries to take the game tying 3, gets a no call. Absolutely ridiculous. Came out on a 2-minute report that it was in fact a foul. And what do we see tonight? Again, John Morant getting an incredible whistle. It was a foul. De'Aaron did slap his hand, on his follow through, but nonetheless, we saw that same exact play happen to us and get no call on it. And then for the referees to come and call the Kings on that foul as they're trying to hold on for dear life was just excruciatingly painful. It was very, very tough to watch. And I'm so glad that did not cost them the game. It definitely seemed like down the stretch there, it was fixing to be just your classic Kings terrible loss. I think Katie mentioned with about 2 minutes left, they had 8 turnovers just in that fourth quarter. Again, that's the kind of stuff where, yeah, like I'm talking about, you that's the teaching lesson in the victory. You can't turn the ball over that many times in the fourth quarter when it matters the most. That's just not going to win you a lot of ball games, and the Kings were honestly lucky to be able to pull that out. I was incredibly stressed out by the fact that a full court press was what was really giving the Kings fits. I mean, credit Memphis for scheming that up and feeling confident in their defense there, but you as an NBA team, as professionals, you should be able to break a full court press by the time that you're in the league. I didn't think Memphis was doing anything special. The Kings were just being incredibly sloppy with it. They had those back-to-back turnovers that left them looking on like they were on the ropes, and it was a 5-point game with 4 minutes to go, and it just kept getting closer and closer and closer. And the Kings were able to hold on and win that one. The Kings are in a 4-way. Yes, this is a great Richard Noble. Shout out you, man. These are 2 great comments. 4-way tie for second place. A win's a win. They have 10 wins in 16 games. We had 31 wins in 82. That is incredible perspective, Richard. Like, I mean, yeah, this team is a lot different than any team that we have seen in the past. It's getting to the they didn't have we can't, you'll take your wins how you can get them. Memphis did not, was out. Desmond Bane, who is one of their better players for sure, put 31 points up on the Kings in October when they played in Sacramento. But yeah, you'll absolutely get it how you'll take it. 10 wins already throughout this season is incredible. That's a great win that they just pulled out. I was talking with somebody the other day, and he asked me what the Kings' best win so far this season was. And I would probably say the Cleveland game, just for how well Cleveland was playing in the moment. At that time, that Cleveland was 8-1. The Kings were kind of just in the beginning. I think they had won 2 on a 2-game win streak at that point. But I think tonight might have been the win of the year. And it wasn't the prettiest at all. I mean, the Kings, the biggest thing tonight, I mean, the Kings were on a nice little streak of scoring 120 plus in I believe all of their games so far in this win streak. Tonight was only able to put up 113 points. They shot 43% from the field, 33% from 3. Again, the free throw bug kind of came back and bit the Kings. They shot 74%, But thankfully, Memphis shot 63% at the line. So, that just proves again how important free throw shooting is on both sides of the ball. Usually it's the Kings who are coming up on the wrong side of missed free throws, and it was good to see that it actually ended up benefiting them, that the other team was having a real bad night as well. Beam team is trending. Gotta love that. The national media does love the Beam team. I am a big fan as well. It's tough not to like it, but good to see the Kings having fun. Good to see the fans having fun. Yeah, right here. 104 people watching. Shout out everybody tuning in live right now. Only 11 thumbs up. Let's hit that thumbs up button. Let's get this up on people's feed so that they can see that this is going on. And it just helps us out a lot. Helps us out a lot more than you can know. It's really not that difficult. So if y'all could please hit that thumbs up, that would be a big help. And if you have anything you want to talk about, just go ahead and drop that in the comment section, and I'll definitely try and be sure to hit your point. But very, very big win tonight. Again, seven in a row for this Kings team. Great game tonight. Great effort. Again, Mike Brown's probably not going to be super thrilled with how the game was called, officiated, but also probably not too happy with his team's performance, but is glad to pull out the win. I'm curious what people think about this. Something felt pretty passionate about in the middle of that game, with this kind of being a common trend that the Kings are struggling. This is absolutely what I'm going to talk about right here. With the Kings struggling so much with rebounds, and when I did Cattles and Rami earlier today, and I was talking about Jalen Duren in the Pistons game, who felt like he was getting I think he only ended up with 8 or 9 rebounds, but it felt like Jalen Duren the other night had 15 to 20 rebounds. I mean, it really seems like this Kings team is struggling with size and struggling with rebounding as well. And really with rim protection, they can definitely use a lot more size up front. Rashawn is sitting on the bench currently. What I want to ask to the 120 people viewing right now, how do you guys feel about Chimezie Metu and him getting the nod over Rashawn Holmes right now? Are you okay with it? Do you feel like, Rashawn, it wouldn't play much better than Mezzi? We saw what Rashawn would do. We gave him opportunity. And he just didn't take it. Mezzi, I think, has had some excitement, at least. He's had some big dunks. I haven't been a fan of what he's done defensively. And, I think sometimes his shot selection can be a little spotty. But I'm just curious what people think. Is it not a big deal? It's just kind of getting any minutes in situations when Sabonis isn't on the floor. I'm very curious. What are your thoughts on our backup center rotation right now? Do you think maybe maybe we should Alex Len, Nemias Queta, perhaps? We can also maybe look in the trade market. I can't imagine that Monty McNair is going to want to shake up this lineup right now or at all. They're playing so well. I'd be very surprised if they look to make any moves anytime soon. Let's see here. A lot of people. Okay, two in the comments for Metu. We're winning, but is it really sustainable? I think that's a good question for sure. I think that's the question a lot of people are wondering about. I'll answer. I think the offense is sustainable for sure. I mean, the fact that they're able to put up this many points on off nights, it feels like they have multiple people who can put up 20 plus points on a given night. I think their ball movement is completely legitimate, and I think those are all. And their shooting has been out of control so far this season, having the highest field goal percentage in the NBA. I definitely think all of that stuff is legit. To me, the biggest question is defense. Is can they at some point figure it out defensively? Again, without any rim protection, I know it's going to be tough. I don't really see that getting better, but like I mentioned earlier, can they start playing pass lanes, being disruptive, creating chaos? Um, I still saw some communication lapses tonight on defense. Can they tighten those things up? Those are tough. Those are things that I keep saying this, but in the playoffs, you have to make stops. That's the only way you're going to win playoff series is if you get stops, because at that point, everyone knows what you're doing. It's going to be tough to get into your offense and get into a real lethal rhythm for 4 straight games. You're going to have ups and downs in the playoffs. I think to the Kings' credit, I think offensively they're going to be fine in that sense because, like I mentioned, they have so many different weapons that they can, one night they can have it just be De'Aaron Fox, please get us a win. Other nights it can be all right. I think like tonight it was a big, it was part of the game plan for the Kings to shoot a lot of threes. And I think that they, and they did miss a lot from three. But Kevin Huerter had a great night from three. Harrison Barnes had a great night from three. De'Aaron Fox had a great night from three. There's a lot of different ways that this team can beat you. Sabonis can really control things in the post. Sabonis and Huerter can play a two-man game that's incredibly lethal. This team has a lot of different weapons that they can utilize offensively, but defensively, if you can't stop anyone, you're not going to win. It's just how it goes. And that's my rant. Okay. Yeah, I feel like okay, I've seen one. This is the only comment I've seen that's for Rashawn Holmes. So it seems like people are okay with the Chimezie Metu stuff, which is totally fine. It's legitimate. I think I understand why Coach going with Metu right now. It's allowing them to switch everything defensively. It's allowing them to stay fast and not really change much on the offensive end. I totally get it. And we saw Rashawn Holmes, how he played when he was given an opportunity, and it just didn't fit. It just doesn't seem like this offense. It seems like the offense has a tough time transitioning from a big like Sabonis, who's a playmaker, a bruiser, and then Rashawn, who, the best times that we've seen Rashawn have been in the pick and roll. And those are two completely different things in terms of play style. So to me, that's the biggest reason why I see Rashawn struggling when he was playing. And I just don't think that that's really something that he can fix. It's kind of just a unfortunate style clash. Let's see what else is in the comments here. Kings need to sign Dwight Howard. Shout out Dwight Howard, who had a massive game in Taiwan, I believe it was. I could definitely be wrong about that. I think Dwight had 32, 25, and I think he had 4 threes or something crazy like that. Shout out Dwight, but he can stay over there. I don't think the Kings need Dwight Howard. Or for that matter, DeMarcus Cousins. I think it's an interesting conversation about DeMarcus, but I love DeMarcus. I felt like I was a DeMarcus Cousins apologist when he was here. But I don't feel like DeMarcus is the center we need. Funny enough, I really do feel like the Kings had the right backup center in Damian Jones. And it's kind of unfortunate that he's just kind of wasting away right now in LA. So maybe that's somebody that the Kings can try and acquire for the cheap. And somebody who knows Mike Brown, somebody who knows this Kings team. So someone like that is kind of who I think the Kings could really use as a backup center. Funny enough, I was really thinking Steven Adams would be a perfect backup center for the Kings. It's just unfortunate he makes a ton of money. Let's look it up right now. What is Steven Adams' contract right now? Steven Adams, Steven Adams, for those who think Steven Adams is not a good player, he's not on the. I mean, he had some tough shots, and he had, I believe, 2 air balls on hook shots. Steven Adams is not paid to make points. He is paid to be a big, huge bruising presence and somebody who just clears out stuff, clears out the lane. Steven Adams in the 2022-23 season is getting paid $17 million. It's a little rich for my taste. But I think somebody like a Steven Adams, I am guilty of being a huge Lopez twin fan. If we could have Robin Lopez as our backup center, that I would be happy as a clam. Brooke Lopez would be incredible. Those to me, those are the kind of centers that the Kings need. Somebody with size, somebody with skill, and somebody who can really protect the rim. Not necessarily being a vertical threat, but just being a huge, big body that can disrupt the paint, like we see Steven Adams do, and like Jaren Jackson was able to do tonight. I think he ended up with 5 block shots on the night. So big shout out Jaren Jackson, who I thought made a huge impact in his limited minutes, as he's, I guess, not limited. I had heard, I think Katie said on the broadcast, he was on a 25 minute restriction coming back from injury. He played 27 minutes tonight and did have 5 blocks. So big shout out Jaren Jackson, who had a really, really big game. Though he did finish with 3 rebounds, which is Jaren Jackson's biggest weakness. Not a great rebounder. Let's see here. I think this is an interesting point. I was listening to the Low Post podcast, Zach Lowe of ESPN's podcast, and he did mention this, that he believes that the Kings defense will get better just because essentially teams are shooting ridiculous percentages at the rim and within the paint, and also from 3 as well. I believe opponents shoot 38% or something like that against the Kings. And, those numbers are pretty high, and he just kind of expects that to level out throughout the season. That might not always be the case, especially for the stuff at the rim, kind of for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, where I just, I don't really see this team being much better when it comes to paint protection. I don't really see how or where that happens. So I do think the stuff at the rim is going to continue to happen, but, who knows? It definitely, some nights you're going to get lucky and people are just going to flat out miss shots. Sometimes that happens. And the Kings really, to their, to your point, Noah, they really haven't had many nights where the other team is just off and having a bad night. Case in point being the Detroit Pistons game, where Detroit absolutely lit it up, not only from the field, but from 3 in that first quarter, or I'm sorry, in that first half, where they shot 60%, I believe, from 3 and from the field. Big shout out to everyone in this chat right now. 156 live viewers. That's the most that I have ever seen in these recaps. So shout out all of you guys. If you can please hit a thumbs up, that would be great. It would do a lot for spreading this and help my bosses know that I'm doing a good job, which I appreciate, and I would appreciate if you would appreciate it. I completely, man, Richard Noble, my man, you're getting commenter of the night from me, because you're completely spot on. For me, the Celtics is the real test that I want to see. They play the Celtics on Friday. They obviously are playing a back-to-back tomorrow in Atlanta. That's going to be a tough game as well, but I want to see what this team does against a high-powered offense. And the Kings right now are the number 1 offense in the league. The Boston Celtics are the number 2 offense in the league. So how will the Kings be able to kind of slow down? I mean, you can't stop the Celtics in the same way. It doesn't seem like many people or anybody has been able to really stop this Kings offense. But what is their answer? Or is that just going to be a 300 total point game? Are we going to see 150 to 136 or something crazy like that? It's a possibility, because I don't know how much better this Kings defense can get, and the Celtics do pose a lot of problems for the Kings size wise, and they do run a very, very good offense. Shout out Joe Mazzulla, who has picked that team up from the bootstraps and really taken them with no let off. I mean, he picked up that job at the start of the season, obviously in unideal circumstances, and that team is just picking up like nothing's wrong. So shout out to the Celtics. That'll be an incredibly fun game to watch. Victor says both Rashawn and Metu struggle on defense, but undersized. And I honestly think Len would be a better fit for that backup 5, specifically on the defensive end. I hear you. I definitely hear you. I don't disagree with this either. I think Len would definitely present some challenges defensively that could be a problem for teams. Is that sustainable? Probably not. I think I think on a night like tonight, I think it would have been beneficial to play Alex Len for a stretch, maybe 2 if he plays really well. But just with the issues that the Kings are having with size, I absolutely wouldn't have been opposed to seeing Rashawn or Alex get some minutes tonight. I've been surprised that we haven't seen Alex really at all this season, except for some garbage time minutes. I think Alex is a really solid player, and he's actually really mobile as well, surprisingly, especially for his size. I'm not opposed to that. I think I would bet it's probably not going to happen, but I absolutely do agree with you, and I think you're not wrong. I think Mike. I was thinking that as I was considering why Rashawn wasn't playing tonight. I do think that we have seen Mike kind of get a little bit too comfortable with his rotation and not really be willing to adjust based off of performance. I am specifically talking about tonight, but it does feel like this current rotation of guys, he kind of doesn't want to mess with at all. He mentioned that after when Keegan was out for the game after Brooklyn and Terrence Davis had his huge night, he said he considered starting Malik in the starting lineup the following night with Keegan out, which is the team's closing lineup of Fox, Monk, Herter, Barnes, Sabonis. But since he didn't want to throw Malik off because he's been coming off the bench and he's got a certain rhythm with that, he felt like it was better to go with TD, which, TD is also coming off a 31-point performance, so it kind of makes it easy in that sense. But I can definitely see how, especially on a night like tonight, it did seem like Mike was pretty stern in his ways when it comes to the rotation. So that'll be interesting to see if he can adapt to that at all. Let's see if there's any other comments in here. I completely agree with this. Any road win in the NBA is a good win. It did look ugly, but a win is still a W. Absolutely. I completely agree. I'm kind of nitpicking a little bit here because, if you would have told me at any point this season that the Kings were going to be on a 7-game win streak, I would have told you that you're crazy and you're not talking about the right Kings. But boy, oh boy, here we are. Look at us. Let's see here. Any other comments? A lot of stuff about Metu. I'm very, very intrigued to see. Just that to me is going to be something I'm going to keep monitor of is if he goes away from his rotation at all. Even with Keegan, I mean, Keegan's been in this starting lineup for a while now, and he really hasn't had a good performance in a while. Will Mike revert back? Probably not to KZ Okpala in the starting lineup, but will he go back to maybe Terrence Davis in the starting lineup, bringing Keegan back off the bench until he kind of figures things out? Possibly. I thought about it today for sure. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe a move is made, and I know that might hurt his confidence. I think that's kind of ideally why he started on the bench in the first place, was because Mike wanted to bring him along slowly and make sure he's ready. But in Mike's defense, Keegan did play so well that it felt like it was crazy to hold him out of the starting lineup. But this was the risky run, is that he then puts together a string of some bad performances, and you have to make that decision of, do I pull this kid and really potentially wreck his confidence and really stunt his growth, or do you take the risk? And Mike took the risk, and I think it was a good risk. If it would have paid off and Keegan was playing just as well as, the rest of the guys here, we would be talking about how Mike was a genius and how this lineup is unstoppable. And it still is. That's the incredible. I mean, and that's the thing I've continued to point out is Harrison Barnes is starting to kind of getting into a rhythm of things. But we still don't have Keegan Murray hitting on all cylinders at all. And if we can get Keegan going while everybody else is going here as well, that takes this offense to a whole nother level. Then you legitimately you can run a lineup with Fox and 4 shooters. You're probably not going to run Sabonis on the floor, so I shouldn't say that. But you can run Fox, Sabonis, and 3 shooters. How about that? Or you can run Sabonis, and with how De'Aaron Fox is shooting right now, you can consider him a shooter. Fox is an all-star, absolutely. He is absolutely playing like an all-star. Outplayed Ja Morant, hands down tonight. If Ja doesn't get some of the calls that he that he got tonight. He doesn't have stat sheet wise as impressive of a performance. De'Aaron got it done on the floor without the fouls, just hitting jump shots left and right. Really, really good thing to see. De'Aaron Fox outperforming somebody who I will be the first to tell you I am a fool. And I routinely say that John Morant is better than De'Aaron Fox, no questions asked. And after you see a performance like tonight, I don't know how you can say that. I am crazy. I wish I can go in a time machine right now and slap myself in the face, because with the performance De'Aaron put on tonight, you got to tip your cap to him. I mean, that's some stuff right there. If I could curse right now, I would, because that guy is on a different level, and he showed tonight that he is just as good as man, I feel crazy for saying this, but Steph Curry aside, he's as good as any point guard in this league. I mean, he with the way he's playing right now, there's not many people who can really stack up to the stuff De'Aaron Fox is doing. I mean, it's really De'Aaron and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Steph Curry right now that are just on an absolute different level when you talk about point guards. And I do not include Luka Doncic as a point guard. So that's how I'm feeling right now. Let's see here. Any other comments? This is kind of a, I don't want to say useless exercise, but I enjoy these kind of thought exercises anyway. Should the Kings have drafted Benedict Mathurin, who's on the Pacers? He is looking good. He is looking very, very good. Obviously you can't go back and you can't change anything. I wasn't the biggest Keegan fan coming out of the draft, but I could not deny his performances early on in a Kings uniform, his summer league performances, the Classic, the preseason, how he opened this season. I'm totally fine with the selection of Keegan Murray. I think he's going to figure it out. Shout out Benedict Mathurin, who's came off the bench and is putting up 19 points a game. Did not see that from him. I heard a lot of people very high on him coming out of the draft. I thought he would be solid. I did not think he would be this good at all, especially not this quickly. Shout out Benedict Mathurin. We will see him and Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield on November 30th at Golden One Center when the Pacers come to town. That'll be very exciting. Obviously, the return of Tyrese Halliburton is going to be the story there. Let's see here. Shout out to them. Alex Len could at least be an enforcer. That is true. Yeah, I mean, there's more people. Alex Len is definitely on the bench right now. He is in the wings. Let me try and get caught up on these comments here. Big game for Fox. We need to stop looking back as a fan base. We are winning now. Yes, we are. Good stuff to see. Let's see here. Is there anything to close out? We'll look forward while we close out here. Kings have the Atlanta, almost outside of the Atlanta Falcons, wrong sport. The Atlanta Hawks tomorrow at 4:30. Another early game, East Coast, going against Trae Young. It's time for the Kevin Huerter revenge game. Are y'all ready? Kevin Huerter has proved this season that he should have and deserved a bigger role in Atlanta. I think it was very, very tough for him to get this kind of attention in the Atlanta offense with Trae Young and just the way that they run their offense over there. I don't think Kevin ever would have been the player that he's shown he is right now. So yeah, Kevin Huerter revenge game time. That's good to see. I do not believe Bogdan Bogdanovic is healthy for Atlanta. Let me make sure that's true, or else it could be the Bogey revenge game. Bogey is out. He is out with a knee injury. He's been out for a while now. I don't think he's played a game this season. He has not played a game this season. So yeah, no Bogdan Bogdanovic revenge game. That's sad to see. But that'll be a good game tomorrow. It'll be a test. Kings traditionally have been absolutely terrible on back-to-backs, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back. It's going to be, no excuses in this league. They're probably in about 20 or 30 minutes here, going to load on to the plane and take off, land in Atlanta tonight, get to the hotel tonight, sleep in Atlanta, wake up tomorrow, go to shoot around, and then play the game. That's the life of an NBA player. No time to celebrate their 7th straight win. They have to go in tomorrow, do the same thing against another high-powered offense. It'll be an interesting one. I feel good about it, especially after the Kings were able to kind of grit through this one tonight. I do feel like the streak is going to continue. Atlanta really doesn't scare me that much. You know, Atlanta is really only scary offensively, and you know who's a whole lot scarier offensively? Your gosh darn beam team. That's who. Your gosh darn beam team is a whole lot scarier offensively than Atlanta. So if Atlanta wants to play that game, if they want to play who can score more, ooh boy, y'all better be ready, because the Sacramento Kings can absolutely do that thing, and I completely expect them to hold up with the Atlanta Hawks. And then, as I mentioned, on Friday is the Boston Celtics. The number 2 offense in the NBA going against the number 1 offense in the NBA. I just talked about it a little bit ago, but can the Kings stop the Boston Celtics from just absolutely torching them? It's also the last game of the road trip, so that those are always tough. You know, you're looking forward to going home. You're tired from this back to back and the travel. You just got a day off, so you just got into a rhythm of doing back to back, and now you have that day off, and then you play again. So it's a lot of mental stuff going on, and you know that's a big. You know, this is smaller problems for guys like Harrison Barnes, but when you point to a Keegan Murray, who this is only his 2nd NBA road trip, those are the kind of things that are going to play a toll. And I think Keegan, again, is somebody I'm not really worried about because he's incredibly mature for his age. But on the last game of a road trip, can the Kings stay focused, stay locked in? Hopefully, at that point, they're on an 8-game win streak. Can they push it to 9? And then it's another tough matchup against the Phoenix Suns is that on Monday? It is on Monday. So that'll be another tough matchup at home. At least it's at home. But against the Phoenix Suns, not really any days off here for the Kings because, you know, they just can't have nice things. The Kings are currently, let's check the standings. Let's see if no, I'm not going to pull them up. It's okay. My standings aren't updated. So I believe the Kings are tied for 5th right now. This is the last thing I'm going to touch on before we head out of here. Shout out everybody who was in this stream. Big ups to you guys. Again, if you could hit that thumbs up, that would be a huge help. Oh boy, I need to share this. Okay. Let's look at this. Hold on. I'm going to go to this is going to be crazy for a second here. Let's see here. Boom. We're going to share this. Look at this. Well, that's not the prettiest thing. Your Sacramento Kings are in 3rd place. Look at that. Just everybody look at that for a second. Who would have thought? 3rd place Sacramento Kings. As I mentioned, on Friday, they play the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference at the moment, the best record in the NBA, the Boston Celtics. Then they play the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow, which is the more pressing issue that you need to focus on. Atlanta Hawks, who are 10-7, same record as the Grizzlies heading into tonight. They're playing the Atlanta Hawks at home, who are 6-3 at home. So another tough game for them. The Kings did break a 7-game win streak losing streak, I should say. They broke a 7-game losing streak against the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. It had been a while since they had taken out Memphis. Memphis was 6-1 at home heading into tonight. Another big win for them. It was tough to see Ja Morant all of a sudden be added to the lineup as a late addition. As I think it was like literally a game, the definition of a game time decision. Ja Morant decided to play today. big, just a really, really big win, not a win that the Kings would get in the past. Definitely something that would have slipped by them. It was really, really great to watch that. Shout out everyone who was in the chat. Let's give this again. Thumbs up. Shout out my man Richard Noble, who I gave commenter of the night to, who had great comments and lives in Tampa, Florida, and he never misses a game. Kings fans are just absolutely the best. That's another thing that I'm excited for with this team being so great, is becoming, fans coming from all around town or all around the country, being able to finally rep their team proudly. People, earlier this season, me and Frankie Cardicelli met up with a fan from Australia who did fly all the way to Sacramento to come to, I think it was 2 or 3 games early in the season. I think it was the Memphis game and the Miami game, if I'm not mistaken. He came out to those games. So shout out all the Sacramento Kings fans outside of Sacramento who have ridden with this team through 16 years of losing. And finally, and I'm going to stress this so much, enjoy this while we're good, because who knows when it can turn bad. We know how bad it's been. We have every reason to celebrate right now. Don't let anybody take that joy away from you. Don't let anybody, say, oh, like it's about time or anything like that. Stick to your guns. Be proud of this team. They are so fun right now. It's not like they're getting wins and they don't feel legit. Trust me, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I just saw my team get absolutely destroyed 40-3, as I've been feeling like they're really not that good this year. This Kings team, I have a completely opposite feeling of. These guys feel legit. I'm just afraid to fully buy in because I've been fooled one too many times. But boy, oh boy, they're giving you every single reason to believe that it's legit. And I'm going to continue to do so. Shout out everybody again who hopped on this stream. Appreciate it so much. I will be doing this stream tomorrow as well, following the game against the Hawks. So be sure to check back in right here on Sactown Sports 1140's YouTube channel. My name is Chris Watkins. Kings win 113-109 over the Memphis Grizzlies. 7 straight. That is 7 straight wins for your Kings. Light the beam. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Go Kings. Yes, sir.